The busiest travel week of the year is nearly upon us as millions of Americans will fly to destinations all across the country. But will the weather impact any of your travel plans? Find out more on today's report. Hi everybody, welcome back to the Weather Nerds YouTube page. I'm meteorologist Craig Majeski, and before we get going, I want to thank all the 360 new subscribers to the channel, and for the 98% of you that haven't subscribed just yet, please consider it. It'd be an honor to kind of help you out with your weather planning needs. Now, what we're looking ahead in today's edition is the busiest travel week of the year. We're talking about Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of Thanksgiving week. It's about a week away, so let's take a look at the European model. Now, what we're looking at currently is some very active weather coming in across the southeast. Looks like some showers and thunderstorms that could be coming into Atlanta Metro Atlanta Airport there, Hartsfield-Jackson on Monday. This area of low pressure here across Oklahoma is going to track to the north and east. So areas of Chicago later in the day, we're talking about Midway and O'Hare, looking at problems. Looking at snows back here across the high plains, not looking too bad there. And then the Pacific Northwest up here towards Seattle, they're going to be looking at a pretty strong system coming in there throughout the day. The Northeast, you're looking quiet here on Monday. So let's go ahead and step ahead a couple of frames here so we can see how things progressed on Monday, November the 20th. So you're looking at the rains continuing there across the southeast, going into the Carolinas, and then by late in the afternoon on Monday, you're looking at conditions going downhill across Chicago as well as the Pacific Northwest into Seattle. So you're looking at wet conditions here around Chicago, and look at the very heavy precipitation out here on the west coast up in the Washington state with that strong and potent system moving in there. And by the time we head into Monday midnight into Tuesday, well, you're seeing that low pressure kind of coming into Illinois at that time. All right, let's see what's ahead for your Tuesday. Now, shifting over to Tuesday morning, this is November the 21st. Around 7 o'clock or so, and you can see this area of low pressure sitting around near Chicago. So looking at O'Hare and Midway, still looking at the potential for some morning delays there. The frontal system will be draped across the Midwest and coming down into the southeast. So Atlanta, Hartsfield, Jackson could still be looking at potential delays for Tuesday morning. The Northeast in the morning will start out okay, looking at New York, LaGuardia, and JFK, not looking too bad there, but conditions will go downhill a little bit later in the day. And then finally shifting out on the West Coast, Seattle looking better there, but some pretty decent storms across the Intermountain region, across Montana and Idaho, as that big heavy storm system that impacted the area on Monday shifts inland. So let's go ahead and progress forward through the day here as we go forward into time. This is around midday on Tuesday. You can see the conditions across the Northeast really going downhill by the time we head into the late afternoon and into the early evening hours. So you're looking at some pretty heavy rains coming into Washington, Reagan National looking wet there, and wet weather coming into JFK and LaGuardia as that low pressure looks like it begins to weaken as we head later in the day there. And then you got some intermountain snows out here across Montana, sneaking down into Wyoming, and there could be some delays shifting into Denver later on to Tuesday into Wednesday with some light snows possibly there on that day. And then, of course, maybe some thunderstorms down here across Florida. Don't want to forget Florida. If you're planning on heading down to Florida for your vacation, looking at some stormy weather, maybe getting down to Jacksonville and getting near possibly Orlando a little bit late in the day on Tuesday. And finally, looking at Wednesday, November the 22nd, the busiest travel day of the year. Not looking good for the Northeast. We'll zoom in here once again to the Northeast, as we're seeing that storm system bringing some pretty heavy rains across New York City for JFK and LaGuardia. This will eventually get into Boston's Logan as well, with the rains throughout the day on Wednesday. Now back to the west, we are seeing some cold air starting to come down here across the high plains. That may bring a little snow into Denver, but otherwise not looking too bad for the majority of the country, but the Northeast is definitely going to be problematic. As I go ahead and step forward here in time, you can see the rains increasing throughout the day, heading into Boston, and that cold front diving down toward the south as we wrap things up here on Wednesday going into Thanksgiving Day, as we're looking at some pretty nice little cold shot here coming down here across the central of the country. There's a cold front that's kind of moving right through here, probably sweeping across the eastern third of the United States on Thanksgiving Day with some cooler weather. But for the most part, Thanksgiving Day is looking a little bit quieter. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the airport hub overview as far as what the forecast is currently calling for. You're seeing a live look as of this recording of Chicago's Midway Airport, which is going to be really very busy heading into next week. So I've got this new graphic to kind of give you an overview of where the expected delays are going to be targeted for next week. So as I transition here, if you see the reds, that means you can see some heavy delays possible. Atlanta, Hartsfield, Jackson on Monday and Tuesday with the storm system moving in there. Chicago, some delays looking there for Monday and Tuesday. Also looking some heavy delays potentially into New York City on Wednesday as well. Denver, just a slight chance of some delays with some snow on Wednesday, November the 22nd. But Dallas and Los Angeles, those two big hubs are looking pretty good for right now. Now, as always, this is a 7-day forecast. It will likely change, so make sure you tune back in here in a couple days. I'll have an updated version of this so you can do for planning purposes, so you know what to look forward to. Hey, now do me a favor. Got to play that game with the YouTuber. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you like what you see. Give me a thumbs up and hit that notification bell. That way, when I do upload the new updated version of this forecast, you'll be notified of it. Again, you guys have a safe and great day. We'll see you here on the next report.